All right, welcome to the Explainer. So India just dropped this brand new set of climate commitments, and let me tell you, it's really stirred up a global debate. Today, we're going to dig into what these goals actually mean and why they're so, well, controversial.
So this really gets to the heart of it, right? How on earth does a nation with 1.4 billion people fight climate change while also needing to grow its economy? To even start to understand India's answer, we've got to look at their official game plan.
Okay, so the whole plan is built around something called Nationally Determined Contributions, or NDCs for short.
Now, the key word here, you got to remember, is voluntary. Under the Paris Agreement, these aren't rules being forced on anyone. They're basically climate promises that each country comes up with for itself, based on, its own unique situation.
So India's plan has three main targets. First up, they want to cut their emissions intensity by 47%. Now, what does that mean? It's basically about getting way more economic bang for every bit of carbon they emit, becoming a much more efficient economy. Second, and this is a big one, a huge shift in energy. The goal is for 60% of their potential power capacity to come from non-fossil fuels. We're talking a massive build-out of solar and wind. And third, they want to grow their forests to act like giant carbon sponges, soaking up billions of tons of CO2 right out of the air.
So on the face of it, these targets look pretty solid, right? A definite step up. But almost right away, they kicked off this huge global debate about, are they really enough?
And that brings us right to the main criticism. It's actually fascinating because it shows how the exact same numbers can be seen in two totally different ways.
Yeah, a walk in the park. That's a pretty blunt way to put it. But it really gets to the core of the critique, that for a powerhouse economy like India, these new goals, well, they just aren't ambitious enough.
So the people making this argument have three main points. First, they say the goals just aren't aggressive enough to help hit that global 1.5-degree target. Second, and this is a really important detail, the plan is all about installed capacity for renewables, not how much power they actually generate. Since the sun isn't always shining and the wind isn't always blowing, the real-world impact is going to be smaller. And finally, the critics argue that, hey, improving emissions efficiency, that's just something that happens naturally as any economy modernizes. It's not a special effort.
Okay, but to really get why India chose these specific targets, we have to look past those big headline numbers and get into the country's economic reality. And this is where that simple critique bumps up against a much more complicated situation.
And this right here, this shows you the core dilemma perfectly. You see, a single unit of solar power is now cheaper to generate than one from coal. But, and it's a huge but, that is not the whole story. The total system cost of using renewables, needing backup and storage for when they're not working, is incredibly high. Meanwhile, coal just provides that stable, ready-to-go power day or night.
Just look at that number for a second. We're talking about a hidden price tag of trillions of rupees. And that staggering amount, that's just for the battery storage needed to make the renewable grid reliable. This isn't some small item on a budget, it's a massive national investment that's competing with everything else the country needs.
So this really pulls back the curtain on all those hidden costs. See, it's not enough to just build a solar farm. You also have to build all new transmission lines to get the power where it needs to go. You need super sophisticated systems to manage a grid that's constantly fluctuating. And you need massive storage for when the sun goes down. Every single piece of that puzzle adds billions and billions to the total cost.
And believe me, these piling on costs aren't just about the power grid. Take a look at transportation. India just went through this huge, super expensive shift to cleaner fuel standards, and now they're immediately launching another massive transition to electric vehicles. Each one of these moves is unbelievably costly, and they're happening one right after the other.
So all of these costs, they have to be balanced against the country's most basic, most fundamental need, economic growth. This is the big picture, the context that really shapes India's entire climate strategy.
Okay, this slide right here is so important to understand. On a per-person basis, India's emissions are still only about 1/3 of the global average. So there's this fundamental question of fairness, right? The country needs what you could call carbon space to grow and to lift millions of its people out of poverty.
And that growth, it is absolutely non-negotiable. We're talking about a future that needs more factories, more roads, more housing, more everything for over 1 billion people. So India simply can't lock itself into promises today that might stop that essential development from happening tomorrow.
So when you put all these pieces of the puzzle together,
The new targets, the international criticism, those staggering hidden costs, and the absolute need to develop, a really clear strategy starts to emerge. It's a very, very calculated balancing act.
This quote, it just perfectly sums up the official thinking. The strategy isn't about doing the bare minimum. Not at all. It's about matching ambition with reality. It's about doing the absolute most they can within their uniquely challenging national context, based on self-awareness, not on what others are telling them to do.
And that really leaves us with a final, kind of provocative question to think about. Is ambition just about having the biggest number on a chart? Or maybe, just maybe, true ambition is about measuring the scale of the effort a nation makes against the scale of the challenges it has to overcome? It's a question that totally reframes the debate, not just for India, but for the entire developing world.
You can download the complete notes of this video from the pinned comment below. If this video helped, do like and subscribe to the BriefCase for daily visual explanations.